Yo, 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 what up? About to go live. I'm gonna play a different song. I got clappers. I'll be looking through all these clappers. This is an old school clap. When I made this about 2013. It's called Body Language. Check it out.
Nervous, I can tell by your body language. You shook, I can tell by your body language. Partners, hardly danger, y'all about to start another party banger. We dressed down, got these niggas feeling gaudy. Hi, golly, he just sound, I'm angelic. The man spit it and sound like a damn relic. Can't feel it, you fucking with the shooter and sand splitter. The giant of Canaan spitting fire out bombs, and I'll set this shit off like the wire on the bombs. I'm old school, dude, I still annihilate niggas. In fact, I devastate them, dominate them, and all that. I'ma fade them, then I had little mama accommodate them. The cleanest rapper I lie saw the studio. Disinfect the boards when you respect the Lord. Don't check me, nigga, check your broad. Stop telling everybody what your necklace costs. You reckless, boss. And I can tell by the body language he's scared. I can tell by the body language she jocking. I can tell by the body language you keep giving mommy anguish. I'ma leave your hottie language. Tired and free of desires. Exhausted with nothing to floss with. When I'm on my raw shit, niggas like all shit. Lockjaw spit on everyone he accosted. They salute me cause of my monetary hustle. Plus I move by myself like involuntary muscles. It's honorary, persona very smooth rhymer. Could be waiting on my commissary, stuck playing solitary. I'm overseas trying to see how far a dollar carries. I'm flavorful, my studio is culinary. You want a taste? I can tell by the body language. You funny style, I can tell by the body language. She on me, and I can tell by the body language. You know the party probably get rowdy. Got the shoddy banger, sing this promiscuous. I got a banger, baby girl off the hook, but it's not a hang up. I got bars, we can make a connection. When I mingle with the rappers, I leave with the best one. Yeah, she started looking at me sexy and opened up her legs like she doing the jet ski. You wanna go there? That's my favorite direction. But you stay with your ex, I'ma play with the next one. Cause you a problem, I can tell by your body language. What you throwing up? I leave the cotties hanging real snotty. I be acting all English, nose turned up, side rap to y'all fiendish cats who seen my act, but seem to act like they don't know casual, the cleanest cat. And I can tell by their body language, they be feeling a nigga when a nigga spit that shit.
All right, check it out. I definitely am. And shout out to you, Dorian Vic. Just know when you see me with K Nubia and K Narrative, it was first Solange Ashby who recommended that I got down with them, and I listened. But now that you came and pushed me in that direction more, you will see me possibly next year down with the K Nubia, K Narrative. All right? So shout out to you for recommending that. That joint right there was off a banger I put out. It was a short album I put out called, an EP I put out called Santa Claus. You can find it on my Bandcamp. Man, it's classic bangers. I just be dropping them because, look, I've been doing this for so long. It's been different phases of my career. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm in the knowledge, information, CEO stage and trying to make sure my brand has more longevity for the next 30 years. So, yeah, you want that joint? It was called Body Language, produced by Gully Duckets. There's another banger right on this album, make you buy the whole thing. I'm about to play it, then we're going to get right to it. It's called the MC Casual. See, I made this song because I be hating them extra smart motherfuckers. Excuse my language, but I'm just going to give it to you real quick. Before we get into the study, and y'all just know this is a chill type place where I host workshops. I don't mind leading the workshops, but a lot of the time there's teachers who step up in my chat who help me along the way. My whole goal is simply just disseminating this information on what was said in one of the oldest African languages ever. Nobody could take that away from you. I don't talk about Egyptian and shit. Look, I'm looking at the oldest African language ever. I want to know what the Africans said. Right? And so we've been doing it for a while. This is a cool place to be a layman and to like enjoy the enthusiasm of the study, but this is not the place where you should be trying to learn the glyphs. It's just some place that encourages you to pursue that study. I like to show what I know, and I like to show what I don't know to encourage people. Like you could do it too. None of that master teacher, none of that I'm special because. This is something we all could learn and teach people. What's the usefulness of it? I just did a video last night that showed you why I'm still just a stud to my wife because of something I learned out of ancient Egyptian literature. Physical application, making my physiology what it should be at this age because I learned things out of ancient Egyptian texts. Not only that, but down to the simplest things, like nobody ever told you that when you enter a man or woman's abode or their house, that you're not supposed to just be looking around and shit. You learn that by reading ancient Egyptian texts, particularly the teachings of Ptahhotep, where he like, bruh, telling his son or whoever's to follow and read this instruction. If you enter somebody's house, they literally be like, do not look around. How many people done came to your house? What's up, blood? Oh, damn, these. Oh, dude, what you got over here? And you in your head like, all right, what you about to do? They would have learned that just from reading the text. I said I was going to play this other banger, Body Language, before we get into it, and it's a banger. No, I played Body Language. I'm going to play the MC Casual. So I wrote this song when I was talking about those super wise people, just like the people getting on my AI commerce. That means I have a economic pursuit. And you get on that commercial and start talking about how you don't like AI as if this was an artistic pursuit. Like I posted a song that I'm using AI. People be stupid, so that's the biggest hating you could do. Come on somebody's commercial endeavor and saying because of the way that the commercial was made, now you don't like. Somebody asked me what football team I support because they see this the cow colors, huh? We from the West Coast. I'm going to tell you like this. On college football right now, I'm Florida. But that's just because I'm playing in a way that, you feel me, it allows me to run a cool dynasty. I'm not really into sports like that. I like to spend my time that men dedicate to sports to studying. But I have some youth that I've watched rise up in the Bay Area. My daughter played hoop with Jordan Lee, who goes to Texas. She's a sophomore now. She's a killer. She hit 21, her season high on the opening game. So all I follow is Texas women's basketball. And I might watch some games just frivolously, but I spend that time studying. Because how we dedicate memory to sports scores and stuff, I like to reserve that memory space for history and knowledge and information and dates. I used to wonder, how do scholars remember the dates when things happened? But then you remember in 1987 what the score of the football game was. So I just erased, I took my brain and was like, I'm not storing that type of information. I'm going to store history and dates and stuff like that. Shout out to Gray Matter. He asked a great, wonderful question, a touching question. He said, did you make amends with Saphir before his death? Hell yeah, bruh. Man, me and Saphir was hella cool. Even when our crews had beef, do y'all know we really didn't even have no beef? Oh, let me show y'all something. Oh, this is about to be a treat. I don't know what I put to the title of this video. I don't want to mislead people because I put Black Egypt and stuff. I am about to get on my normal chemic studies. I'll be talking for 4 hours, bro. But right now, we're going to do the and stuff. Because, dude, I found the video of the battle that my man is talking about. Did I make amends with Saphir? Bro, I found a video of the battle that nobody know is on YouTube. And you can really see how it went down. And it's crazy. How did I find this? It was crazy. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it, I ain't gonna trip. But the other day I was like, what the hell is this? All right, hold on. I watched it, I was laughing. I was watching it with my daughter. And she was like, can we watch your rap battle? I was like, you wanna watch that? We was watching real battles. Oh, here you go. Dude. This the footage nobody seen. You from Oakland? You at UC? All right, Cal Bears. That's what's up. Yeah, I got the Cal colors on these new Hyro rugbies. You can get these at shophyro.com. I ain't took this off in 3 days. I'm stress testing it. I mean, you know, every time I wake back up and get ready, I'm throwing this back on. This is our new product. It feels way good. It came out like I want. But let me show y'all this. Y'all about to be laughing, bruh. So shout out to the people who be saying that I used to rap better back then. Y'all gotta be crazy. But I was doing this on purpose, right? Because when I went in the battle, I didn't want to mess up. So I was doing, I was rhyming hella one syllables. It's so funny. But this was the first night of the battle, y'all, where I'm at my show at the Kennel Club. This like this is classic hip hop. And ain't nobody even seen this because somebody had titled it The Derelicts Live. It say Casual Saphir Battle, but it ain't a lot of views on this video. Now you get to see how it went down like as if you was in the house. And then we had another battle on the radio where he said these same rhymes. To me, I was like, man, but me and him was talking. Bruh, I gotta give Saphir all the credit. He came to my house the middle of the battle. He had enough heart to knock on my door because I would have not known what to expect if I just pulled up at his house and knocked on the door. But he wanted to talk. He was like, bro, let's talk about this shit. All while everybody else is beefing. And he tells me that he gonna say written raps at the battle. And I'm like, bro, I'm not about to write for that. I'm not about to write. I'm saying freestyles. So when he comes to this club this night, this was after we had talked, but I didn't know he was gonna pop up at the show. I was like, oh, here he come with his written raps. See, this meant a whole lot more back in the day. Because when y'all used to build and vibe, and if y'all was gonna go against each other, you just supposed to say what pop up on your head right at the moment. But this is back 90s. You know, you wasn't supposed to just be like, I'm gonna go home and write something and then come get at you, because that's like a battle on wax. Saphir is definitely an Oakland legend. Now, so I want to show y'all how this went. Somebody had came to me right while I'm performing and said that they are at the front door of the club, but I'm deep with all my people. And it looked like I'm rocking low back then, but that code ain't low. This code is for the Italian soccer team. Because I was in Milan. Right before this, I was in Milan, Italy. And I had just bought the whole soccer team had fit. So let's watch this and peep game. This is exclusive, the real footage. Hold on, we gotta go back. I gotta go back some because he already on the stage. I want y'all to see how that happened. Hold on, look. See, that's why I just stopped my show. Somebody came, said Saphir and them at the door. They not letting them in. And I told them, let them in. We too thick in this house. Boy, it's nothing. Half of 8 Deuce was on the stage. All my rap partners was there. And I had bars. So watch this. Now stop, you heard that? I was setting it. I don't care. I said Casual about to come off the head. Now watch when he walk up, he's gonna be like, here I come with the writtens. So basically now we have a contest. It is spontaneity against preparation. Right? Let's see how this go down. Now hold on, y'all hear what he said? He said casual, casual, it's a written. And then start saying his written rap. So this was like, all right, I know I got the advantage amongst people who are respectable men in hip hop. They like, how you gonna let them come off the top and you gonna go to your writtens? You scared to freestyle? But anyway, watch this. This was the real battle. Shit you didn't say. Ah, that's hella funny, bro. That's a classic photograph right there. I might make a t-shirt out of that, dog. Hold on, dog. Let's peep game. I did come out with some syllables in the beginning, but I started getting one syllable jokes. Hold on, let me tell you. So that's how we used to battle. Battles wasn't like they are now back in the day. Right now, if a motherfucker starts saying some whack shit, you could just cut them off on the mic. Just take the mic, right? That's my partner. Y'all can see we were still friends, but we had beef. But you can see we leaning on each other and chilling and shit during the battle, right? This shit hella funny. You gonna see hella people from the town on the stage, bro. Somebody said, look at Rap. But when he started getting them hoo-ha's, I was getting kind of hot. So that was an L to me because you never. So this started happening back in the day. Look, if you rapping and another rapper, this was old battle rap. This ain't the battle rap y'all do. If you rapping and another rapper start rapping and both y'all voices going at the same time, you cannot stop. You better not stop. That's the old battle shit. See, y'all gonna be clogging up the mics until somebody fall off. So I whipped out that old school move right there. Look, hold on. I was like, we gonna do it like old school. We gonna see if we busting at the same time. Who about to fuck up? Let's see.
Spirit back, your blood lacks the sample in chorus on the forward, the microphone, what's wrong? Your family, family with your life, what them backs look like? What's your point? Your sound? It's stale, pure, new short E40 flows and multiply graphics. We know here, nigga, before you do that shit, shake the legs with there. I got flares so we can snare, that you see, all day that nigga, casual be, I'm the security, but make me tell you something like dumb.
Start going, you can't rap my last line. Look.
Closing up, exposing that cubic. I'm twisted like Rubik. You must be puzzled with this ignorance. Nigga, your mother was full of liquid. Then why not gun? I'ma eat that ass in the ground on the cushion. I think my niggas pushing. Hey, don't you stop fighting.
Look at all the niggas behind me going, you can't rap. You can't rap. I'm sorry, bro. I'm reliving the moment. This is having a good time. My only time seeing this was when my daughter, I seen the other footage that don't got all this in there, see? So you couldn't see how we was really getting down back in the day. Everybody, this is the template for URL and all that shit. Because let me show you, every battle y'all seen, we seen it in the streets, Lord Finesse and them, they wasn't on the stage. Surrounded by hella people. Somebody could just sock you, right? It's danger all over the place. All my partners to the right, all his partners to the left. But listen, when I end my rap, I'm gonna say, you can't rap. And I don't even know why I was on that vibe. But then everybody in the house started chanting, you can't rap. You can't rap. Watch this. What the fuck you thinking? You can't rap. You can't rap.
Straight from the west side. It's the closing up, exposing that cubic. I'm twisted like Rubik. You must be puzzled with this ignorance. Nigga, your mother was full of liquid. Then why not gun? I'ma eat that ass in the ground on the cushion. I think my niggas pushing. Hey, don't you stop fighting. It's exciting. They acting like it's enlightening. When in your breath, the chest is checking. Cement, nigga, the chest is taking cement. My dick is bigger than his arm. My dick is bigger than his arm. His nuts is swinging on my farm. His nuts is swinging on my farm. With that big bullshit, nigga, your shit, your defense.
This was the Crash Palace at the Independent in Frisco.
Check it out, y'all. Check it out, y'all. Check it out, y'all. Check it out, y'all.
right, that's cool.
I'm in high road. We ain't scared. Every shit we said was pre-prepared, but I ain't trying to charge no baby. You get my flag, you know, like, on the track.
Going dumb. Hey, bro, I ain't rocked at a show going that ham since the 90s. I'm saying ham like that, I don't want people on the stage. I'm too old. I got all kind of issues I wasn't having back then. I don't want people around me. Get away. Too many people on the stage, I can't even think. Back then, we was rowdy and ready. Hey, this is hella funny. I'm about to go back to, we're going to get on our teachings, but somebody brought this up in the chat. Shout out, rest in peace, Saphir. This was one of my soldier homies. And, you know, one of the only people who challenged me in the height of what I was doing, and this is what it was. People said this battle was 50-50.
We ain't scared. Every shit we said was pre-prepared, but I ain't trying to charge no baby.
Putting this on Instagram.
On the track. Like I said, before the whack. Oh shit. But I
All right, cool. That was a cool little something. I gotta rip that, put that on the gram though. I intended to study in this video, but I did put and stuff because I was just chilling this morning. Right? I didn't have nothing in particular on my mind. It was some stuff that we were looking at yesterday. Oh yeah, that's right. Let's get on them videos. So I found when cats was doing all that dissing, what I was doing was, I knew I didn't have enough time to watch all the videos, but I was ripping them and clipping them so that I could make my presentation. And last night we were watching this video. I know I'm frozen real quick because this is how my computer do for a minute, but I'll pop back, don't even trip. I know it can't be 50-50 if I was freestyling, but I don't trip off that, Jay Commodore. Everybody came up and told me, all the real rappers.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Brother Garfield podcast.
The rappers who called me, Pharaoh Monch, Q-Tip, I got calls after that battle and they was applauding me. They didn't even say you won. They was like, bruh, I need to talk to you. You freestyled that whole shit? They was like, you didn't have none of that? I was like, nah, we just coming off the top. They was like, man, you just sent the ripple through this shit. But this video, we're gonna get back to the knowledge. We was watching this video and some of the commentary. So this was when they was trying to get Dr. Maggie Bryson to scrutinize some of the stuff that I put forth about Egypt. And they couldn't get her to. She actually said complimentary things about me and my work in this video, and I can't wait to meet her. But we'll pick up from about where we left off. And I'm not gonna, I don't really be caring how long my streams be, so just chill.
Do you see Egyptians as a collective unit when they were being named, as far as whenever they use the term Kemet? Do you see it as a collective name for the culture, meaning where the Desheret is and where Kemet is, as far as the land space of Egypt? Do you see the equivalency of Kemet being the same as Egypt today, as far as geography is concerned?
More or less. So when the ancient Egyptians talked about Kemet, they were talking about the world that they lived in. They were talking about the land that they farmed, right? Because black land is the fertile black alluvial soil of the Nile. And it stretches from roughly, right? Again, very roughly, the border between modern Egypt and Sudan. And that border it moves a lot because it's a continuum.
Right.
Like Nasser didn't exist then, but we have the Nile cataracts that served as kind of geographical boundary markers, but people could cross them. And there was a lot of exchange over that line in various periods of Egyptian history. But yeah, so very roughly, from the Mediterranean to the cataract region of the Nile. And what is arable, what is farmable is the black land, and what is not is deshret, right? The red land, the desert. And so the desert on either side, to the extent that the Egyptians traveled into it, right? They mined in the eastern desert for gold. They, crossed the western desert to interact, right? They had interactions across the western desert in the sort of ring of oases, right? That allowed them to trade and interact with people in, western North Africa, and to travel farther south into the southern parts of Africa, as far south as they could permeate, right? To trade, right? To find things, to get luxury goods like gold and ivory. Right, prisoners of war, right? People were forced to labor in trafficked in the ancient world the same way as they were not. Again, I say the same way. Human trafficking is an eternal human problem, right? It's been going on through war and exchange for millennia, right? So there was trade, there was conflict, but basically, right, the Egyptians seem to have seen Kemet as what is now Egypt. It's
basically, that's true. We don't do basically unless we're speaking to layman like she is. When we got people really interested in the subject, we give more detail. Basically, Kemet was what we know as Egypt. But periodically, if you look into it in the inception of the term, it did not mean all of Egypt. And we try to pinpoint the meaning of Kemet. And if we think toponymically, I'm not even going to go in on the conversation. There is a toponymic use of Kemet. It designated a location, and we say it was the Black city, the Black community. This is qualified by all of these scholars. But they just stretch it to Black city, then they say the Black land. The Black land is problematic because every word I said before that, it means people. A city means people. You just got to look at the uses of how words are used. If you're in the desert and you're looking for the city, you're looking for what people are known to have congregated in this area for a long time. If it ain't no people there, it's not even the city. Think about it. It's a town when there's people there. It's a ghost town when there's not people there. So when you say city, community, right? Even town, it's more appropriate for what Gardner 049, which is the, it's just, I call it X marks the spot, but it's the circle determinative with the X in it that we use to know about locations. So she ain't said nothing wrong. It's just more to it.
It's the same, roughly the same boundaries, same borders, right? With the oases to the far west, the Red Sea on the east, and the Mediterranean on the north, and the cataracts of the Nile on the south.
All right. Do you have a question, Onk?
Back on the Kim. So
now I broke this down yesterday, and this is the detail that I offer us to pay attention to on this show. The scholar's a scholar, so she's not going to trip up when you accidentally reference the wrong term. They were talking about Kemet specifically. And when the brother Aunt come back in, he says, so back on the Kim. Kim and Kemet are two different terms. They're closely related, and one could possibly be the derivative of another. But she's going to address that without even tripping. But you need to know what she says about Kim don't necessarily apply to Kemet and vice versa. So let's see if did I go back too far?
Talked about Kemet. They were talking about they were talking about the world that they lived in. They were talking about the land that they farmed.
do you see Egyptians as a collective
I went
unit?
back too far. My bad. It was after this one, right here.
Also applied. Have you heard it being applied to, like, I've heard people say the black.
You have to hear everything he says.
On the east,
'Cause he
and
says
Mediterranean
back
on the
to
north,
Kim.
and the cataracts of the Nile on the south.
All right. Do you have a question, Unc?
Back on the Kim. For me, the Kim would help represent entire Egypt to its geographical region in Africa.
So that's completely incorrect. Kim ain't Kemet. And she would have said that. Look at the look on her face. Come on now. You can see the look on people's face. You can't look at her saying what he's saying is incorrect. How do I correct him nicely? He's confused about Kim and Kemet. So watch how she wonderfully gives him some clarity about how wrong he is. Talking about you think the Kim. I think the Kim. No. She's gonna teach you.
The black soil and how it promoted a growth, vegetation. So could you also apply it? Have you heard it being applied to, like, I've heard people say the black town, the black people of Kemet, all kinds of stuff. What and your reading of it and what you're understanding, what would you lead to more? Would it be, dealing with the skin color or dealing with the soil? Which is more probable? Just curious.
If the Egyptians called themselves the people of Kemet, right, they would call themselves, literally, they wouldn't call themselves the Kems, right? They would call themselves the people of Kemet.
Why was that funny? Because they should have got Kim means black. So if she said they wouldn't call themselves the Kims, she's saying they wouldn't call themselves the blacks. I showed plenty of times. Now, this is the problem. When you say something like that, your brain goes to the normal modern day connotation of hearing somebody say the blacks. And that's not what's happening. That's what was happening. I keep telling you these racial constructs wasn't in place. But nevertheless, she just is not privy to the instances where they actually do say Kimu, which will be taken as the blacks. But what she's right about what she's saying to the extent of what she knows.
Okay.
Kemet is the place, the land, with its dark color, right? The word Kem it means dark or black in color.
Now she's straightening them out about the difference between Kim and Kemet. Listen.
Could you also apply it? Have you heard it being could you?
My bad.
The Kems, right? They would call themselves the people of Kemet.
Okay.
Kemet is the place, the land, with its dark color, right? The word Kem it means dark or black in color, right? So Kem is also darkness. Things can be described as Kem, meaning black in color, right? A better translation of Kemet is the black land. The thing which is black, which is the land, right? It has a T on the end, which makes it a noun, right? But it's basically meaning color.
That's what you have to hone in on. All nouns aren't things. Nouns are persons, places, and things. So if you got an adjective substituted as a noun, it's now a substantive. It doesn't make it just a thing. It makes it a person, place, or a thing, right?
The color black is, it's the black thing, the black land. And they also call Egypt Tameri, the beloved land.
Absolutely.
So, but they are the people of the black land when they spoke about themselves.
Okay.
All right. Let me do a follow-up to that real carefully. So when they call themselves the beloved land, what time period, if you could remember, did they start using that term, Tameri?
I could not tell you when the term Tameri
Okay.
comes into common use.
So we looked at that last night, and just because I don't remember, we about to pull that up again. Because we should all know that question, the answer to that question. Let me ask somebody in the chat. When was the term Tameri first used? Oh, hold up. We looked that up last night, right? Why am I accepting the cookies? Because I don't be tripping. We looked that up last night. Let's look it up again. If don't nobody remember, in the chat, when was the term Tameri first used? Search for the lemon. Tameri. About to answer the question. At least as far as the text corpus is concerned. The beloved land, Egypt, 129 occurrences. And the first occurrence of Tameri, we start reading this text and got caught all up. It was when? 12th dynasty, just like I knew. See? So what do we have here? An outlaw in his beard. So that means Egypt wasn't called. This is why I keep telling people, bro. Can we understand this? This concept of this upper and lower being one place. Well, when you unite two things, they become one. But these were two distinct things to the ancient Egyptians. And when things went bad, all the true, basically what we call Upper Egyptian can lightweight be called real Egyptian. Like, you know, the way they say true Negro and stuff like that. If you want to use that logic back on them, it would be Upper Egyptian would be true Egyptian. Lower Egyptian is the area of confluence with all them people they always had to go conquer. So if you start to go look, if you look at it, that was the case. Really what we know as Egypt, they didn't see that like that, man. It was like, okay, so let me prove it. This is what you're going to find in text. First, I want to lay out some facts that can't be refuted. I'm going to lay it out in my way so that you can understand. You got to shift through what they're doing. When they tell you that ancient Egyptians and Nubians chose the same symbols for kingship, the question to ask is, first, where are these symbols? Let me see when the Nubians chose it and when the ancient Egyptians chose it. And then they're going to start stuttering. Because we find this symbol, the white crown, the Hejet of Upper Egypt, or Tashama'u, I should say. The Hejet, we find it in the areas of gold that they call Nubia, about 3500 BC. At times where we don't find it in the areas of Egypt. So how can they say Nubians and Egyptians chose the same symbol for kingship when you only find that symbol in Nubia at that time period, then 100, 400 years later, 300 years later, you find it in the areas of Egypt? That's to avoid saying the first kings of Egypt was Nubian, using their terminology. So what I'm about to show you is, I like doing these statistical surveys to see how these terms were used, and it reveals a lot. Look up. So Upper Egypt would be south more. Let me whip out the map so people could get an instance of it. All right? So you can peep game. Upper Egypt was more south, right? Then Lower Egypt was more north. I'll say the butt of Egypt or the Mediterranean is the bottom. You got to understand that because people start to make you think that these people who was entering in through the bottom, like coming through the back door of the party, they try to tell you that they was the host of the party. Y'all don't remember sneaking in clubs and shit? Excuse me. I mean, sometimes like when I'm teaching, I don't really like having my hip hop language, but it just be mixing over sometimes. But y'all remember sneaking in the club, going through the back? That's what this is, coming into Egypt through this way. The party happening down here, what they call Upper Egypt. But the name you see here, Tashema'u, that's a very good one. It's Jerusalem in the text corpus. So in my memory, never came across it by that term, but we're gonna look up that. Tashemahu being the real heart of what we know as Upper Egypt. They found that first crown way down here. It ain't really a crown. It's an inscription with a person with the crown on his head. All right. So now, Upper Egypt being its own distinct polity, but we are made to just think it's like a different area. Tashema'u is its own thing, and Tamehu is its own thing. And a strong leader rules over both of them. But when things fall apart, all of the power of Egypt goes down up into Tashema'u and comes back basically and conquers. That's the history of Egypt. There was never no time when things fell apart and they went all into the Levant and came back and conquered. They always went to the south, regrouped, came back up, and took over Tamehu again. Now, what the philology reveals is this. First, it just revealed something that the scholar told us she didn't know, and it's not her fault because she's not specializing in that. The field is vast, dog. Don't be saying that people, I don't know so much. So not knowing is not a flaw. Being honest about not knowing is commendable. Now, we looked it up and we see the first instance of Tameri was in the 12th dynasty because this text, in the text corpus, and normally they're exhaustive, right? It's hard for you to go outside of the text corpus and find text that they haven't found. It happens, but you have to be a really good researcher. So we're going to say that Tameri popped up at about the 12th dynasty as a name for all of Egypt. But what are these other names? Now, we should also question whether this was a name for all of Egypt like they translated. We haven't done that research yet. I just said it. I just said it out my mouth because that's what Egyptology teaches. But once we investigate the term, we're going to even see if Tameri actually is synonymous with all of Egypt. Like I have extended the borders of Tameri to what the sun disk orbs. We'll look at that type of stuff later. Right now, we want to look at Upper and Lower Egypt, and I want you to see something. what you're going to see is from the beginning of the usage of these terms, Tashama'u always conquered Tamehu. All right? Don't ever mess that up. Tashama'u is the real deal. Tamehu had to get hands put on since the inception of the term. Literally, that's what you're about to see. Going back to Aha 4 or maybe Jer, when they talked about what you call the areas by the Mediterranean, they talk about beating it up. You think I'm exaggerating? I love these exaggerations. It's not hyperbole. They talk about whooping on that area when they reference Ta Shemahu is referenced as a proud homeland. I didn't bring no water upstairs. I'm tripping. Now look, we're gonna look at these terms and you're gonna see it for yourself. But that white crown is something else to look at. How they reference the white crown and how they reference the red crown. You put them together, you got the double crown. You rule both lands. But when it fall apart, you better have that white crown. You better have that white crown. Only in the beginning do we think somebody with that red crown prevailed. Who was that? Well, you see Mena with both of them. You see Norma with both of them. But it was Scorpion who wore the red crown, who they say might have put some hands. Well, let's watch this. How would I do that? Ta, S, capital S, right? For the sh, M, and a capital A, baby. Let's try that. They don't want to mess with that. They want me to do a lowercase a. Yeah, they wanted a lowercase a. So we got the 93 entries of Ta Shema'u. Not Upper Egypt, but we know it as Upper Egypt, but this is its own thing. Trust me, you're going to learn it. Watch this. So it says Upper Egypt. Let's go into the 93 occurrences. And the first occurrence of top, it reveals everything. Well, it doesn't. This first occurrence is at the base of Jed Kara. Says the basis, it would probably mean the base of his statue, but whatever. Time frame, Jed Kara, right? It just says all the livestock of Upper and Lower Egypt. That's what they say. But it's really all the of Ta Mehu, the land of the field, the land, or the land of the whip, or whatever, and Ta Shema'u. And I'm not really clear on what Shema means. But we can talk about it. It could be the unity. Oh, hold on. If it's the unity, then that'll mean more. But we'll talk about that later so we can stay on track. Now here's the second instance of Shemahu. It says the funerary sacrifice which is brought by the children and relatives of his estate from the villages of Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt at every fine festival. But it's all right. I ain't about to keep saying that they are the ones making us think that this is just one place. You have equipped yourself. Now, I was looking for this text a long time ago when I told us that Seth was venerated in Ombos, right? since not the Ptolemaic times. Now, I finally found this, so let me come on the screen. Because when we start talking about Ta-Seti, the same areas we're talking about and everything, but this is just a different point. The land of the shooters. We also got to know that there's some play going on because they venerated Set Sutet, the Netcher. But when I tried to look that up in the wiki, they didn't know enough, and they only referenced the Temple of Set built in Kom Ombo, right? The Temple of Set built in Kom Ombo in Ptolemaic times. So I couldn't show you that Set was first venerated in Ta-Seti, because it reveals what the Battle of Horus and Set is about historically. Not mythologically. Historically, the Battle of Horus and Set is about Ta-Seti fighting against the gnome above it, the second gnome, the throne of Horus. So you can't even get away from that if you understand that the people of Ta-Seti venerated Set. So Wiki can't show you, but primary text can. All you need to know is what this word means right here. Ombos. I'm going to take the word and let you know, see what it means. It means gold. Right? As soon as I put ombos, it's taking you to where Kom Ombos, which is what? See, this Ombos now Nakata, but Ombos the capital of the town of the gnome in Kom Ombo, Egypt. Let me click Kom Ombo, and you're going to get to Ta-Seti, see? Kom is this is a mound of gold, but it's not tel, so I don't know if it's a mound. A tel is a mound too in Arabic. I think Kom is like a different type of a mound or a place of gold. So we see what Kom Ombo is. So now it says, you have equipped yourself as a magical being, as Seth. Who is Seth? That's Set, that's Sutet right here. Where's he at? Right here, Sutet. See? But where is he at? You see the gold? So he's in New Bet. New Bet. Told y'all. Set, this don't say in, it says by. In the way of that which is in. Set that which is in New Bet. Not that which is in, yeah. Set that which is in New Bet. Let's see. Who is in, told you, Ombos. So Ombos is New Bet. You see the gold chain? So I have to state, if you ever follow my show, even though this ain't what I was talking about, we are looking at the instance, and I'm going to remember this. It's in the Pyramid of Unes that gives the attestation of Set being venerated in Kom Ombos. Now look what they say. Lord of Upper Egypt. So he's the Lord of Ta-Seti. I'm going to click on New Bet. Shout out to my man. Now look. Place name, Ombos. See? So it's telling you basically the land of gold. And they say the 5th century guy who, I don't know why they went to 5th century when this, they trying to say not 5th century, 5th dynasty. See that? But what does it say? Lord of Upper Egypt. What's going on with Lower Egypt? Bruh, I'm gonna go into this text, but I'm gonna say something. Upon being deceased, your relationship to Lower Egypt don't mean nothing. Let's see if it contradicts me. Look, it's not contradicting me. What I said, all right, here it goes. May you place the shepherd's crook and scepter into the hand of Unis, whose bow whose bows the head of Lower and Upper Egypt. Right? That's what they say. Let me look over here. It says, he shall fall, namely his opponent. He shall stand, namely the chief of the great one in the great waters. Memphis praises him after he captured the opponent. You have equipped yourself as a magical being, Seth, who is in Ombos. See, this is in the time period of Unis. So now we can't say Sutek wasn't venerated in Ta-Seti. Got him. Now, why is this significant? Because I'm the one, don't nobody else teach that, bruh. And I just been blessed to be able to find some stuff. This is what I've been searching for 20 years for. Let me show you. Now you understand the battle of Horus and Set. Look, the first nome of Egypt was Ta-Seti, the land of the bow, the land of the shooter. But who did they venerate in Ta-Seti? Let's go back to the text and see. Set of Ombos, Lord of Upper Egypt, right? So now look at this. What's the second nome called? You can't make this up. It is the throne of Horus. Now I use Maria Gatto's work. I could pull it up right now, man. Stop playing. We pulling everything up right now. Maria Gatto, Gatto. I'm gonna say cultural or entanglement. Right? Maria Gatto, I spelled her name wrong. I spelled hella stuff wrong. I spelled everything wrong. What's going on? Let me slow down. All right, there you go. Cultural entanglement at the dawn of Egyptian history. Maria Gatto. Man, reference these works all on YouTube so they can shut up. First, they're gonna gotta go do a lot of reading to even be able to reference some works. They're gonna be typing in ChatGPT, give me some works to reference. Give me a summary of it so I can refute this guy. But let me continue. Cultural entanglement at the dawn of Egyptian history, a view from the now First Cataract region. Now, what are we going to do? I need to download it? Nope, I don't have to download it. Now, what are we going to find in this document? Well, I want to download it just because I like referring to it, right? And I want to search through the document to show you stuff faster. Again, when my F drive opens up, my computer freezes because it's a backup drive with a heck of space, but it's slow. So that's why I'm frozen right now. But I'm back though. All right, look. Maybe I'll change the USB cord on that drive and it might go faster. So I'm gonna come here and I want y'all to see something she teaches in this document. Besides reading the whole thing where you're gonna learn, let me just read the abstract. All right. This paper aims to discuss the process of multicultural adjustment and the transformation that took place during the 4th millennia BC in the Nile First Cataract region, exactly where we're talking about. It says, the period taken into consideration is what? The period taken into consideration is timing as it corresponds to the formation of the Egyptian state. New archaeological research in the Aswan area has revealed that the process of cultural mixing in this boundary region, clearly detectable in the cultural material, was much more complex and multidimensional than previously thought. Anthropological theories on ethnicity and boundaries, cultural entanglement, and interaction sphere and material culture style are used as tools. So that's what she's going through. Now, I just want to go through a particular breakdown when she started talking about the unification, right? And what she's going to tell us is when you talk about the battle of the North and the South, it's not a battle between Upper and Lower Egypt. All of this occurred in Tashama'u. So, right? It all occurred from about the first 10 nomes. Every place else was left out. So you got to read documents like this. It's very good, but I'm just skimming through it to get to something that I remember being in the document. And I can't remember any particular words that's going to take me there. So just allow me. All right. I'm going to start around here because this is good information. She says, what can be safely stated is that at this stage, evidence points to an earlier presence of Nubian population in the area. Talking about Egypt. As a matter of fact, the 5th millennium BC, Caryphian, it says Tazian and Badarian cultures were Nubian related. Now I gotta make this bigger so you can see it, because these are the cultures a lot of people be trying to say preceded ancient Egypt and they wasn't Nubian related, but this is new work right here. And she said this can safely be said that them people you call quote unquote Nubian, them populations was already in the area 5th millennium BC. And these Caryphian or whatever, Caryphian, Tazian, and Badarian cultures were Nubian related. Y'all see that? And it says, as are findings of the same from both the western and eastern deserts. So these findings from the same age from both the eastern and western desert are also Nubian related. That is to say, and this is something important to highlight, that the cultural substratum in Upper Egypt as a whole is mostly Nubian related. Damn, dog. This is the new work. So why are we talking about in Upper Egypt? Because I keep telling y'all this was different, bro. The way they explain it to us ain't right. And I'm going to keep going back to the text corpus to prove Upper Egypt always went out and conquered Lower Egypt and not the other way around. But we're going to keep looking at the secondary source, which is a great one. Right? And I'm going to read that sentence again. That is to say, and this is something important to highlight, that the cultural substratum in Upper Egypt as a whole is mostly Nubian related. You know what a substratum is? So she's using probably a geological term about the underlying foundation. All right? But she says the cultural substratum, which is a bar, in Upper Egypt, Tashama'u, the areas we're talking about, as a whole is mostly Nubian related. The earliest evidence of the Nakada culture is attested in the Abydos Nakada region. Moving south, now this is exactly the quote I need y'all to see. Moving southward from Amarat to Dhaka in Lower Nubia, only in the new intermediate, or in the what? NIC. What's that? NIC. Nakada 1C. That's what that is. Nakada 1C, okay? Now it says, Unique to the earlier funerary data is the finding of animal graves, mainly in Sheila and Korbahan. It says it mostly consists of dogs. See, the dogs let you know about Nubian. It says dogs inhumations. It says characteristics of the later phases, instead the high frequency of multiple burials. Apart from Elephantine, evidence of domestic settlements contemporary to the earliest phase of Nag el Carmila was found in Aswan to the east of Isis Temple by the Swiss Egyptian mission, and consisting of post holes, lithic artifacts, and potsherds. And in the Nag el Hamdullah by our project. In the later case, remains of charcoal, pot shards, and lithic artifacts were local to the core drilling in the area of the modern village. I don't want to keep reading that because it's taking off point. What you had to peep was that she said they went south first to even fight. They went so this is what I need you to know. Let's look at the map. Right? You see that this says the first nome, the area of the bow, that's the area of Taseti, that is the area of Set. The second nome is the throne of Horus, so we got Horus and Set. But let's look at it on the map. Here go the first nome here, Kom Ombo. This is the second nome, but we can't think that these gnomes were carved out like they was. But we have to go all the way up to about here, probably right about here, to include the entire fight. This is all Upper Egypt, fighting for what they call the unification. Now here's the issue. First, a ruler has to emerge from Tashama'u to go out and conquer Tamehu. So these people coming from the Nakata area, she said Armat too. Where's Armat? I don't see it, but we know we in this area because they go Thinis. Narmer's supposed to be from Thinis. So these people coming from this area went south first. They didn't even go north first. And then they fought around this area and went back north and conquered Tamehu, which is a whole nother thing. So being the powerful one of Tashama'u was a big deal. Well, let's continue. All right. And we had just went into this one text to see. I could go back to Maria Gatto's paper, but there's one more thing she's going to say in here about them going south, and to let y'all know that it wasn't even Tamehu wasn't even in the fight. Look, amongst the human representations, there is one of Nubia. Man, no, this ain't the one I want. And then go into the text corpus. So here's this oldest attestation to Taseti that go way back to like ancient, pre-dynastic times. So I'm gonna read this conclusion. Look, the distinction between the Egyptian and Nubian identity is something connected to the rise of the Nakata culture in the first half of the 4th millennium BC. During the previous millennia, such a distinction would not have made sense. As previously stated, the Tarifian, Badarian, and Tazian cultures of Middle and Upper Egypt have strong ties with the Nubian Nilotic pastoralist tradition, as can be inferred, for instance, by the very similar pottery, economic, and settlement pattern, and by the latest findings in the desert surrounding Egyptian Nile Valley. The creation of the Egyptian identity was instrumental for justifying political power, and had as a consequence the creation of the ancient Egyptian concept of duality, Egypt in opposition to others, which in the boundary regions such as that of the now First Cataract would have been strongly and consistently challenged, particularly during a period of important socio-political change as the pre-dynastic. The earliest evidence of the Naqada culture phases A1 and AB come from the areas of Abydos, and from there it moved where? First south. To go to Abydos. To stop telling people they think they know what they talking about. This shit was all in what you call Black Africa. Black Egypt, right? They said it started where? Let's go back to the map. Abydos. Let's find the word Abydos. And from there, you got to go south. Damn, why did I do that, man? Too much clickership. Clicking on stuff too quick. Now look, where did Abydos go? Abydos. Remember I said you got to start in this area, then go south. So this unification is all in Upper Egypt. This is what people don't understand. I know, I hope I'm saying this clear. What part about what I'm saying ain't digestible? The document telling you right here, it start at Abydos and then go south. Then she's going to tell you it bounced back up. Let's read. She said, the earliest evidence of the Naqada culture, y'all know what the Naqada culture is? That is what you call the extractions of the earliest Egyptian finds that they call the Egyptians. Other ones before that is Badarian, Tazian, and other things. So when they say Naqada, they're talking about the people we know as Egyptians. It says it comes out of the area of Abydos, and from there it moved first south. So this Naqada culture moved south and then north. South of Naqada and down to the Dhaka, Sayala region of Lower Nubia, and the earliest evidence stated in the NIC, 3700 BC. Regrettably, archaeological evidence of human settlements during the 5th millennium along the Egyptian Nile Valley is rare and inconsistent, contrary to what is recorded in the deserts. Unless covered by Nile silt in the region under discussion, the development of a long-term occupation appears to be concurrent with the southward spread of the Naqada culture. Now, as previously stated, it is highly unlikely that the arrival of Naqada means migration of people from the north. Dang, man. She just bust everybody wig who was talking about it was all these people in Mehu, which is the north. They didn't have nothing to do with it. Let me make this sentence big. Look, as previously stated, it is highly unlikely that the arrival of the Naqada or the arrival of Naqada means migration of people from the north. That's unlikely. They wasn't from Tamehu. Colonization and domination of local communities. That didn't happen. The interaction sphere model helps in interpreting the process as a possible spread of an ideological system based on a shared set of beliefs and practices on both personal and public levels. The Naqada material, again, that first material of what we know as ancient Egyptians, the Naqada material culture being accessible to many people, as it is suggested by the common findings of Naqada items in villages and cemeteries, has probably functioned as a marker of a social group identity. Economic factors were probably a major key point from the Naqada group to include the South into the sphere of interaction. and a super regional Nakata identity identified facilitated trade. You telling me this is the unification? She's saying power was probably the other key factor. In fact, the ideological system also included religious beliefs and practices that were used by the emerging elites to mobilize exotic items and develop a prestige good system, which in turn helped justify their power. Highly ritualized places such as Khas 1 or Nag el Hamdulab, it says, may have been used as loci for displaying and straightening the Kata ideological power. Even through in the region there is no what? I gotta go. Even though in the region there is no what? Data available to 5th millennium, what seems to be the oldest funerary evidence found in Shilah is related to Nubian tradition and likely predates the arrival of Nakata in the region. She's so hard. She's like, man, you can't find no Egyptian stuff, but everything we find is Nubian. Certainly the bulk of the archaeological record from the 4th millennia is related to the Nakata culture, but a small Nubian component is always present in many aspects of the material culture, such as the pottery and lithic. However, Nubian-related objects, particularly black mouth vessels, were more common in the funerary sphere than in the domestic one. It says, giving for granted the Nubian tradition was one settled in the area before the arrival of Nakata one. Do y'all hear this? Let me read that again. Giving for granted the Nubian tradition was the one settled in the area before the arrival of the Nakata one. The strong presence of Nubian objects in the grave suggests a willingness by the local population to keep their identity mainly in the funerary symbolic realm. A similar reaction has been noted in Upper Nubia during the New Kingdom Egyptian colonization and acculturation, when not only Nubian identity markers were present in graves, but they were mainly present in the graves of women. See, women was proud to be black, y'all, and that's a fact, y'all, and then they represented like that, y'all. It says, hybrid objects such as Nakata red polished bowls with the milled rim, which is typically a Nubian marker, are recorded in the domestic sphere. All right, remember that. And interestingly enough, it is the Egyptian objects that is reconceptualized through the addition of the Nubian rim top decoration to create material entanglement. Listen to that closely. Interestingly enough, it is the Egyptian object that is reconceptualized. See, you know who the biters be? The person who remixed it. Interestingly enough, it is the Egyptian object that is reconceptualized through the addition of the Nubian rim top decoration to create a material entanglement as defined by Stockhammer. There are also elements which, as the animal burial in the human cemeteries, and the great amount of shell-tempered vessels locally produced, which are neither Egyptian nor Nubian, given to the local cultural material style uniqueness compared to the two original identities. So you can read this whole document, but she bust all they wig and let us know that it was all in Upper Egypt where all this fighting was happening. Now, let me go show you something. We got to go look at the Norman palette. Because even though they say that Norma came from Dennis, whatever, one L. Even though they said Norma came from Dennis, I want y'all to see two things. When he big on the Stella, what crown he got on? In his huge smiting scene, he has on the hijab. Now I'm gonna hurt you with this next one. What I tell you. In the procession scene, if we think this is him, it says his name right here. He has on the what? I'm gonna hurt you with this. He has on the Kim. He has on the Kim, some will call it the Jeshret or the red crown. But it's also called the Kim, the darker one. You find that in the text from the Ptolemaic times. If I go to the text corpus and go, let me show you how easy this is. Type KM, right? The first entry says Crown of Lower Egypt. See how easy that was? Kim. He has on the Kim. It's the Kim. That smell good. It's the Kim because it's because it's darker than the other one. So let's go back to it. This is what I need you to look at. First of all, it's safe to say his chief deity, you can mess this up. Go on ahead and try and tell me who that is. Only archers is going to answer this right in the chat. I know if you're an archer, you don't even need to qualify yourself. You don't have to answer this. Let's let somebody try to see if they can hit this target. Anybody, how deep you are in Medu Nature. Don't play yourself. Tell me who this is right here. Write it in the chat. Take the challenge. Have some fun. Who is this? If you're an archer, just don't even trip. Don't even say nothing. I know you know already. I want to know from somebody new who be studying this, who probably watching with such skepticism. Go ahead and Google it. Go ask, say, all right, who is the cow deity on the top of the Norman palette? You can learn from me if that's what you want to do. Shout out to my man Immortal. He said Bast or Boss. Shout out to Criminology, who said Bot, which would probably be better. Shout out to Temple, who said Normer. You correct saying that you're reading this name here. So you write too, it says Normer in the glyphs. But I'm talking about this actual deity. So the confusion is, shout out to Enduring Motif. A lot of us is up on game. Y'all hitting it. It's like y'all hitting the target right on the bullseye. A lot of us will be confused and not understand this ancient veneration of Bot and confuse this with Hathor, which is very easy to do. But if we do that, then we don't learn about Bot, and then we start missing the symbolism when they would do the Bot dance. Let me show you Nakada woman. Let me show you. N-A-Q-A-D-A woman. W-O-M-A-N. Let me see if she pop up. See the Nakada woman, watch. See, her arms just broke off on this one, but here she go doing the Bot. See? But it would get later probably related to Hathor. You see? And this has a bird head. But we need to just keep note of that. Now let's keep on going with the Norman palette. Shout out to everybody who y'all all answered it right, and I was hella happy y'all did. It made me feel hella good watching this show. Because most pseudo shows, they don't know that. They be talking about Hathor. But let's keep going. Let me find it. Now, so we got Bot twice, Bot 4 times. Bot is on the top, Bot like the chief. But look at this falcon here. And I don't want to say what the falcon doing. It has a rope, which appears to be tied to the face of something. I'm not just going to say what's going on. You can take a depiction of that. Whatever is some type of control. But that falcon would probably represent Heru. So as we search for those type of netures on this palette, right? We don't want to consider this bull a neture. That was representative of the king. And we could talk about this motif here too, but that ain't what we're doing. We come back to Bot, Narmer, right? Bot. Now look, 1 falcon, 2 falcon, 3 falcon, 4. Y'all just got to peep game. On this side, just right here, whatever's going on here with this falcon is going on. Whatever's going on here with this falcon standing on top of what is like a harpoon or the word wah. Horus, the one, I don't know. But then these men got their heads cut off. But this is a procession heading in that direction. You see Narmer with the red crown on of Tamehu of the lower Egypt. But check game, this is what we need to pay attention to. These people probably indicate different tribes that's down with Narmer. It is because we can see they're holding a particular standard. These are standards. These are called Bakinkin. When I say stuff like that, it sounds funny, so I gotta put it in the dictionary for you. Bakinkin, right? So if I put a B, a QN, Bakin, and then you gotta put a QN again, see? So look at, there's a processional standard. See how quick I took away your suspicions and doubt? Now I said a Bakinkin. How would you say this? So don't even trip on me. How would you say this? Bakin. See? But it's not about the pronunciation. It's about learning the meanings right now. This is a processional standard. This is how they spell it out. So on this processional standard, we see Anpu or the jackal. Now let me take you back to the text, bro. Like, I mean, this is just clear to see. Don't you see the jackal right here? Well, it could be argued that this is not the jackal, but it's only 2 options for us. From what we know, this would either be the jackal on this standard, so that means this person down with a tribe that venerates the jackal. Well, that would leave us these 2 falcons. I'm going to say that this is not the jackal. I'm going to tell you what it is. This is the tribe of Set. See? So using everybody's work and using what our elders put and everything I see and using the knowledge we have to us now, I can put it all together. This is the tribe of Set. And this is 2 tribes of Horus. Lastly, we see what could be a placenta. And I guess, I can't say the tribe of the placenta, but they no longer around. We can't find them. They never had a gnome that went into what Kemet is. So now let's go back to the gnome map with what we was teaching earlier. I'm gonna go back over to the, now what is this? It is a more complicated processional standard. on top of a glyph that represents a tract of land. So if you dissect everything we see here, and you would have to really be good to do this. I'm gonna snip this to do this. Right? A lot of people can't do this. Most archers could do this. What we're about to do is identify the meaning of every icon inside of this. We make it big as it can be. Now, you know what this means? This could look like a kanji, a Chinese type, I don't know, like symbolism. But everything we see here means something. And every little something we see adds additional meaning to it. So I'm not just about to read it and say, Tassetti. That's what this says. I'm going to give you a deeper understanding. The first line at the top represents land. Phenotypically, it is Ta. So it means land, right? Peep game, though. Please peep game. The second glyph that we should recognize, because we're reading from top to bottom, left to right in this instance. The second glyph to be recognized is a bow. So now we got a land piece, a tract of land, and a bow. The third glyph is actually just a phonetic complement. It is the second consonant of this biliteral seti. Some might argue that seti is a triliteral, and that Y is part of it, but it might just be ST, might be STY. Nevertheless, this is the second consonant T, right? Some say it's a bread loaf, some say it's a mound. That's insignificant. Lastly, we see another piece of land, because this land is just like this land is part of the word. This land is part of the determinative. So it's really saying land of the bow. And then that's for you to determine they're actually talking about land. But it says more. It isn't to be read. But the land of the bow is on top of a what? We just learned it. It was that funny term. Everybody repeat. A bakinkin. What is a bakinkin? Let's go back to the dictionary. See a bakinkin? It is a processional standard or a flag. I want you to see other renditions of this word bakinkin, right? So I'm gonna click through. It's only 3. There go the second one. There go the third one. So now look at this, quite frankly enough. They got ampoule over what also looks like a glyph for a tract of land. But I don't want to say that this is what this is. This isn't the traditional one. It just takes its shape. So now we know that this bakinkin is a processional standard, and we see one right here. See? So now we know that if they was going to go off on a procession, you get a bunch of men together to go out on an excursion for a reason, the dude in the front would be holding this standard if they was from what? This land right here. You see this? Let me show you this in the dictionary. It's actually its own word. Let me show you. Now, anybody, any archers or whoever, y'all can put what this word is, but I'm already finished. The word is sapat. Now, you're going to see when that glyph appears, it's going to tell you that this is a nome or a district. So I guess it must have an A A that I need to put in there, right? Because it ain't popping up, and it should have popped up hella quick. So a Sapat. Oh, did I just pass it up? Let me go to the last one. No, abort. No. So how do I need to do Sapat? Maybe one of those A's is supposed to be. Well, I'm about to look. I'm about to put gnome. Right now, look. Now, when you put a gnome, it's gonna take you back to that's Henry. That's the interior. But one of us should take me to what I'm looking for. I don't know why it didn't take me when I put SPT. See, look. Oh, I was supposed to put an A. You're supposed to put an A after the P. It's Sapat. See, Sapat, not Sapat. Now you see a smaller rendition of what we see right here. But if you keep going on the term Sapat, you will see one that looks like that. So it allows you to know, see now, look at this one. Look, see that? But it just has a T and the Gardner 049 under it. So let me learn what this glyph is in the signage right now. Let's go look. So it's N24. The loaf of bread is X1, and the last one is 049. Those codes are useful if you're trying to, you could just say Gardner N21 and pop that in Google and get a whole bunch of information on it. Right? That's this one, N24. Excuse me. This is a Sapat. What is a Sapat? A nome or a district. So when we come back here, now we can see everything they're trying to say. And this is why I was saying this could be read like kanji. If we go further with the reading, it don't just say Taseti. It say that Taseti is venerated in these areas. Now, why is that important? To say the land of the bow is venerated in these areas, it don't make sense. No, because they're calling it the land of the bow. This represents an action. Shooting. The land of shooters. Shooting is venerated in this area. Being a good shooter is the chief priority. It is of top importance in this area. And when we come through holding this standard, you know you getting shot up. Now, what's another way to say this area? Taseti. You say it like they're saying it on the Norman palette. You say, you put the set my animal on there. See? Now, why is it two tribes of Horus and one tribe of Set? Let's go back to the gnome map, blood. You can't get away from this. These gnomes are right next to each other. So now that you understand what this means, we're going to take the next one. And we're going to make this one bigger. And you're going to be able to say, I understand. What did those people do? See? In this area, Horus, this is his throne, and you see a feather of my eye sticking out sideways on some type of a standard. I mean, some type of a flag, something holding it up. A sideways feather of my eye. With Horus here on the Bakinkin venerated in this area. So that's a problem right there. Because you got Horus and Set up against each other. And geographically, it looked like this. This comb on both Set, Edfu, Horus. Edfu up to Horus, right? Now we know about the fight she told us about these Nakata people, they still in the Horus area, coming down and beating up Set. And then who won the Battle of Horus and Set? Horus. But that's the mythology of it. The actuality of it is these people in the area of Horus. Well, see, this is the fifth gnome, so I can't say they're in the area of Horus. They're above it. But this will let you know why it's two Heru gnomes coming through. One of them literally being the throne of Horus. This is my interpretation. That second gnome area. And then the other one representing people down with them that are from some other, these are identical birds. They're from some other Horus venerating place. Right? But we got that. See, this is after. So what does this mean? This proves what Maria Gatto was talking about. Because first Narmer unified these people. And then they went out and killed them. See, and these are some Tamehus. How I know? Because he got on the red crown now. Look up R10. Shout out to Jay Mill, one of my teachers. Look up R10 on the let me see what would be one of the best art ways to see art. I'm gonna just pop it in the dictionary. Oh, you the man, Jay Mill. You are the man. Because R10, what he's telling me, but it don't got the Ma'at thing, but this is indicative of some type of necropolis, right? Let me see another instance of R10. Now this one got the Ma'at feather. Feel me? I know it ain't the same thing, but it's related to the necropolis. That's R10A. So now we see, now it explains to us, look, why Heru got that at the front. Because it has something to do with being buried. It has something to do with a necropolis. And that's probably why I got the Ma'at feather, because we know Ma'at has to do with the deceased being justified. So now we got that, and now we got Heru, and we got the Bekinkin, and we got it's in this area. They want you to know. Now let me show you something. And I need to take this off the screen because it got them women images. Crazy. This is only me proposing that this is showing us that Norman first unified these people, just like Maria Gatto said. He went south. He was with the Horuses, I'm saying, the Shimsu Hor, okay? And then they put hands on them. They got them down with them, the shooters, the people from the Taseti area. And then they went out and conquered these people. Now, this entanglement here could be representative of two different entanglements, but you could just call it how you want to call it. This could be the entanglement of Upper and Lower Egypt, Tamehu and Tashima'u, family being restrained and under control, right? And we can see the development of this motif. This motif developed in Egypt. Don't let nobody lie to you and tell you this is some Mesopotamian motif. What they can't show you is the development of this in any place like Mesopotamia. The development of this motif happens in Africa. And so, you can't see it. It happens in Africa. But anyway, we kind of do see that. So I want to show you something else. Lastly, we'll look at the bull here, probably only being indicative of the king, Narmer, and probably not to be looked at as anything else. All right. So this is showing me what I believe. This is ancient text that corroborates what Maria Gatto said about them going south first, getting this in order, then going north. Let's just continue. I also got something else I would like you to see, and I'm gonna refer to Dynasty DY. Dynasty zeros work. And I want you to see this. It's gonna bring some understanding to you. When I click Dynasty 0, I want to look at his palettes, and we're gonna be able to see where are the palettes at. Oh, corpse of palettes. I can show you a lot of things with these palettes. First of all, look at this. See that scorpion boy? This is a red crown pimp, right? I mean, not pimp. This is a red crown like boss right here. Right? I'm not throwing off the red crown and saying that, you know, nobody was a boss who came from there. Scorpion was. This is a Nakata 1 palette with a scorpion on it. You don't see a red crown, you see a scorpion. We're gonna just look at some of this stuff, and we're gonna learn a lot just from this little investigation. Trust me, everything we was talking about is about to pop up on the screen. Nakata 2. There's something about symmetrical animals being enjoined and entangled. We'll see this motif develop and I'll show you it, but notice that these are symmetrical angles, kind of just like, you can say they're kissing, but you're gonna see a lot of that development as we look at these. As I get to the one I want to show you, but there's so much stuff to not overlook. So now we know what we see in here too. Some will say representations of Hathor. Some of us would probably say bot. Let's see what they say. See, you say Hathor, right? If this is old enough, I'm gonna tell you they probably mistaken this for Hathor. But it's Nakata, and I'm going with, see, look, for the image Hathor bot. So they don't know if it's Hathor or bot. Right? But we'll see some good stuff. We continue. I'm just clicking as I know I can rush to what I'm looking for. Now look at this, y'all. Now that we can read the Metal Natural, what would you think that kind of like what's that trying to say? See, we didn't even know these was words and stuff. You would think I'm lying if I told you this is an ancient, archaic way to say the South. Why would this pop up on the screen, dog? Because everything I'll be teaching you is the truth. I wasn't planning on coming to this. This is an ancient way to say Reshi. Let me show you. You see this mouth and this S right here? Let me take it. I'm going to take an R and an S and a Y. And you're going to see now this is how they do it now. They take the mouth and put it at the bottom. Let me show you. See? And that S looking thing wasn't really an S. It's like this Shema'u thing. But this means like the South. Right? So why am I telling you? Because I keep getting people to understand. Like, dog, South was what it was all about. Look, Tep Reshi, that's the south. But you see this mouth and this turning thing, it means the south. Why we just scramble over this mouth and the turning thing, just looking over text? Do it say something about the south? No, they say the men palette. Where do you see men? Well, we know how to read, so we ain't tripping. To say something about the south, we're going to keep going. Yep, you're right. You're 100% right in the chat, Shazmoo. So now, this is the first one relevant to what we was just looking at. And we're going to learn about this character here, who this represents. When it's connected like this is different than the normal palette. If you go to the normal palette, where's the normal palette? Watch this. Don't smell good. Shout out to the wife. If you go to the normal palette, right, you're going to see that. First, look at this. 2 falcons on one thing. I'm not even saying it's a standard. I just want you to see these concepts developed in 2 ways. See the 2 falcons? This is indicative of an earlier king named Double Falcon. I don't know how you would say, I would say Haruti probably. Haruway, I don't know how you say Double Falcon. But this would probably be about, let's see what they say. Oh, they say Nebway. So the way is right, but I'm not saying Neb. Where they getting Neb from? Where's the Lord on here? They got the way right because it's duality. Right? I mean, right? But what's up with the this Double Falcon? We'll see more about that later. So when you come to the normal palette, you see 2 falcons, but they're not on the same standard. And I wouldn't argue this had nothing to do with Double Falcon. But we're going to learn about some of these pharaohs they don't teach us about. Double Falcon was one of them. Right? We're going to keep looking at stuff. So I want to show y'all this, because now we're going to attack a few things at once. We're going to attack the people who argue that this motif of the sauropods with the necks of the sauropods are entangled, and they say that motif comes out of Mesopotamia. I can prove that that ain't true right now. If I don't prove it to you, I'm going to give you strong evidence that that could probably not be the case. First, I need y'all to understand what we're looking at here. This fish, whoever made this for a man or a woman who wanted some place they could mix their makeup. This is just how far society was along at the time when we see palettes like this. This didn't have no historical war, no function, but for you to be able to mix your makeup, right? So the circle in the middle was so that the chemicals you were mixing could be contained within that circle. It sounds weird, huh? Just like an artistic palette. Like an artist who be holding that piece of wood and they mixing their colors. Now they found so many of these with the chemicals still in that circle that they figured that out. And so this circle has a function in ancient Egypt. But look at this palette. The animal are outside of the circle, all outside of the circle, and it's actually on a fish. How much you think this cost in ancient times? A few Devons, huh? I don't know, but to get somebody to make you something like this out of stone right now will cost a pretty penny. You feel me? And it was for doing your makeup. It's cracked, so she probably had to bust somebody over the head with it. But I'm saying though, that I just threw that part in there. Everything else is 100. You see a complete circle. The circle isn't an animal. Look at the track of the circle. It simply represents what I told you, an area that the makeup can be contained. So this is about this motif that develops in Egypt. So we're going to be talking about various different subjects. Now look at this. Here's another palette where the animals are outside of the circle with higher ridges so they can mix more makeup in the middle. But if you look at the entire picture, what do you see? Now we're starting to get these imaginary giraffe type figures, but their necks are not intertwined yet. Because this artist is going to realize, whoever freaked it, he going to be like, why am I putting a circle and then these two long ass necks? I could just make the necks be the circle. But you can't argue that this couldn't be used as attestations to the development of this motif that people call Mesopotamian. But they can't show no development of it in Mesopotamia. See? It just pop up in Mesopotamia. But in Kemet, you can see it developing. Y'all see that? He almost wanted to hit it on this one. He almost wanted to take these long necks and twist them up right here. By the time we get to the Norman palette, see, it's still the same thing. A circle for them to mix their makeup. The art just telling a different story. But now these necks are intertwined. But this clearly is before that. Now watch what happens. Funny enough, we can find all of the attestations to this being developed, and no one wrote a book on this or nothing. It's just left to my YouTube. Things that I've noticed that can't be refuted because this predates the Norman palette. All the chronology is in proper order. Now that circle gonna keep developing. But I want to segue over because we onto some, well, I'm not going to segue because it's just starting to pop off crazy now. Look at this. You see the development? Here go the two long necks on the right side. Here go the circle on the left. So they still ain't thought to just, man, make the necks be the circle. I'm going to show you it develop, bro. No show do it like this. Now watch this. We got to look at this for multiple reasons, but you still see the function of the palette. Mixing chemicals inside of this area. And this is one where you could, I ain't going to say you can still see the chemicals. I ain't going to say that. Let's go back to the Bakinkin and what we learned about that. We've learned that this says a lot. This says the people in this area venerate Horus. And this is kind of like a necropolis area, right? Come to this foul, and he's holding the Bakinkin. See, he's holding the standard. Now, we got to go back to the dictionary and put Bakinkin in so people can understand it's about a procession. B-Q-N-Q-N. Processional standard. What is a procession? When you walk in with a group of men on your way going somewhere. Feel me? This is what we have on the palette, a procession. So this Bakinkin that he's holding in the front lets us know who they are. They are Shimsu Hor, followers of Horus. All right? But they have this Nubian flag, this Nubian ostrich feather in their heads. Now, if I come to this side, I shouldn't see another Bakinkin. Because this is telling me that this is some other people. You could say, no, it's not. This is two processions. Look, he is the standard bearer for these dudes. And they are down with the tribe of Horus, followers of Horus. See that falcon on the top of the standard? You come over here. Now this is Ru, an ancient king. We can talk about that. They don't tell us about it. They put it in the movies and they play with you and shit. And they make stuff like the Lion King. Mustafa. That's not right. The Lion King and his heir right here, this would be Ru. Saru, if I'm just giving them names. Ru or Mahi, maybe. Mai, a valiant lion. Or Ru. This isn't a hunt. You don't hunt lions for no food. This is a battle. All the arrows is going in the lion's head, but you got livestock with no arrows in it. So understand what they want it to look like. Now you got this roped deer here, right? But this doesn't represent a food hunting procession. They got war weapons. They don't even got throw sticks. They got the mace to beat you over your head and bows. So they hit you with the doo-doof. Then by the time they get up, bow, bow over the head with that. You done. Who they funking with? Ru. I told you we're going to learn a lot. Now, this is representative of who they king was, the bull of bulls. Strangely enough, there's two bulls here. Next to a Shrek. So this is his palace, the king's palace. But this is not, I don't think they talk about Ru or the lion who's being attacked and still fighting. I want to draw your attention to this procession over here, still holding the same standard. Dressed a little differently. You see like he got two feathers in his head. They both got two feathers. And I'm arguing that, okay, well, now we got two followers, two different tribes of Horus. Come back to the Norman palette, they go two different tribes of Horus. Unified and ready and together. After they done killed off Ru. One of the rulers of the Upper Egypt area in pre-dynastic times. I'm not making that up. Even this document, they're gonna talk about him as the Lion King. But all you gotta do is look at the palettes and know the language. So don't be distracted by Ru. Remember, we're talking about multiple things at once. We're talking about the development of that motif, and when we come back to something that talks about that, we'll skip over. But we're also talking about some of these ancient pharaohs. Now here, and when we did this, don't forget the circle was still in the middle, right? I come to this one. Now, before I come to that one, and we could probably look at the dates. Let's look at the date. So this is Nakata 3, A2, right? So if this other one is Nakata 2, it's earlier. This is I don't see where they got that. They breaking it down in a different way. Then 5th dynasty. Okay, well they say this might be later than that. And it makes sense. 5th dynasty, see? That's later. So this is earlier, so we still see. But what do we notice here? This is what I want y'all to peep gang. The circle has never been an animal. All the times while this is developing, the animals that eventually become the intertwined necks, the animals are always outside the circle in this earlier time period. Now look at this one, which I just looked at, Nakata 3. This appears to be one of the first times that they used the animal to form the circle in the middle. It's a snake. And they're going to tribe of Heru right on top of this one. See? So even in these pre-dynastic times, this is why when they say Manetho said the tribe of Heru ruled for 1,000 years, he didn't say the tribe of Heru, he said the Shemsu Hor. And people didn't understand that. But that wasn't a person. That was some followers of Horus, who very well could have been around for 1,000 years. You see this right in the middle. Let me make it bigger. You don't see that same falcon dog on top of this building? That's what this is. Okay. Right? You see it? So everybody sees that. But what you need to notice is, for the first time, we finally see that circle is now an animal. No one can show you this in Mesopotamia, the development of this motif. I mean, scholars can watch this video and take this information and package it up in the right package and get some real credit. I just got a different profession. But I like this, my research. Now watch this. First time it turned to an animal was right here, like I showed you. Now guess what they do on this next one? This is the first time, not in Mesopotamia, but in Egypt, where they finally decided to take the necks of those two mythological animals and join them together in order to form the circle in the center of the bowl. Can't you see it with your own eyes? Now let's do the periodization of this one to make sure everything is right. All right, then was the 5th, I told you. So I don't want to say it's the first time then, because this will be after. They say he the 5th king of the 1st dynasty. So that would be after the 1st king of the 1st dynasty, which Narmers, where we see them intertwined on Narmers. Okay? But we went to text before Narmer and clearly proved they wasn't intertwined before that, and we could see the artist is not even doing it right. I'm not saying not doing it right, but on this one, this neck stays on the left side. And this neck of this animal stays on the right side. On a normal palette, the necks go the opposite direction. So let's keep going through all these palettes that just reveal so much. So from the beginning of what we was looking at, all the way up into this one, where we finally see them joining together, we do see the function of this circle being the main cause for them to even join this together anyway. For the Mesopotamian version, for instance, if you just start with the Narmer palette, it'll be harder for you to determine that this circle in the middle was functional. And you would start to think that this motif was just some mythological intertwining of cephalopods where they are showing that they had them under control. You feel me? And so that is part of it on the mythological side of this art that simply had a functional purpose of mixing up some makeup. And in investigating that, we see that developed in Egypt, not in Sumer. Unless you're going to go show me hella Sumer palettes that just show what I just showed you. But we're going to continue because these palettes is hella fun. Like this, for instance. Can't get much out of this, but it was going down. And I wish I could know who these people was. Right? Doing something with this pot right here. Whatever, but you'll see what I mean. Because there's a small little fragments that reveal a lot. Remember when I was talking about the Lion King? But let me prove that for once and for all to anybody who can read the glyphs. Now, first, I'm going to come to this one. They are the same two bulls, remember? But they are concerned with trampling these men, right? The bulls are representative of the king most often and his rule. This was a pastoralist culture, and they seen how strong bulls were in a herd that they called Winjut, and a particular divine herd that they called Kemet. This was the black herd of cattle that they eventually named themselves after, Kemet. Can't say if they named it after it, but they had the same names. But what is this? Why in ancient times would there be a lion inside of a fortified enclosure drinking from a bowl? Anybody who know the glyphs will tell you that at least that this lion is of some importance, possibly representative of a people or the particular king who ruled in that region. Shazmu says Ru Neb. I probably would say Ru Nu or Mai Nu. Ru Nu. Because we see a lion who could be Ru. But Ru is a recumbent lion. This isn't recumbent. He's not sitting down like a crouching tiger. So it might be, is Mahi, M-A-I, isn't M-A-I a lion too? And I think we might say M-A-I, M-A-I. He is a lion, see? Now when the lion is recumbent, look, this lion is not recumbent. That is Mai. Now watch me put Ru. You're going to see a recumbent lion. And it's never going to be standing up. All right? We got to just pay attention to these fine details. Ru is the recumbent lion. So I was calling him Ru. Notice they say this is a subdivision of Lyle, whatever. Is that an area? That's Ru. So then we probably would be saying my Nu would be this king. My. But I'm not calling him a king yet. I'm just simply saying that this is an ancient attestation that there was probably a person who went by the lion who ruled this area that's being talked about on this ballot. You can't see all of it because it's broken off. They call it the Bull's Palette, but I would call it, see, it was another town down here, look. And this is the Stork. So if I go look at the list, they actually got King Stork too, but y'all never heard of these people. Some of you have. But let me show you. I'm going to continue. Because we find Ru or Mai also on another palette. He was popular. He was just like the Lion King was a real thing. Let me show you. Here we go. Well, that's him over there. Now, on this particular palette, look at what they call it first. The Tenahu palette. We could dispel that. But look right here. It says the towns. See? Towns. Trees and Towns palette. They even say the Butu palette. I don't know if they found this as high up as Butu. Right? But it say Unprovidence from Abido. Now, Towns palette would mean they got towns. First, let's dispel this Tenahu. That come from the work of Oric Bates or whatever. Old school dude, bruh. And all they seen was this throw stick on a plot of land, and they read that as Tenahu. This is outdated. No one reads a throw stick. A throw stick is Am. If you put it on the plot of land, it's not going to turn to Tenahu. So it was Oric Bates or whatever who said this is the floral and fauna from Libya. And these animals are Libyan. So they call it the Tenahu palette because of that. But why does it say the Towns palette? Because if we look at the reverse side, like I said, these are representative of towns. Now, so when you see this circle enclosure, you can say, okay, this is an old way to represent a town. Now, remember in the beginning I told us about Double Falcon? Look at all of these people that we now know. Look, they're even on their standards. So now we know where they was from. See this one Falcon standard? See this other Falcon standard? Let's go back to the normal palette. See those two Falcon standards? It's safe to say these two people is not a guess. It's a safe presumption that these two people that represents tribes from these areas were from where? Same standards, same Falcons from here. I wouldn't know how to say that. It's old Egyptian. And we know they are kings. This person should be looked at as a beloved because the Merho is next to both of them. See that Merho? It looks like an A. It means beloved. We know they kings because when we come over here, we see a scorpion. So we now know where Scorpion was from, and if I don't know where that says though. But this is Scorpion, and you know there was two Scorpions, Scorpion and his daddy. It was both Scorpions, Scorpion 1 and Scorpion 2. One of the Scorpions, the king, was from this area. So back when we was looking at the lion, he was inside of that enclosure. Do I remember the Oakland Falcon boys? Hell yeah. But more recently, I was maybe 15 years ago, I lived on 55th, and my partner Quan next door, I mentioned him in the song recently. But Quan next door had one of the cleanest Falcons in the town. And my partner P had a clean ass Falcon. It's in one of my videos. But yeah, I remember that. So y'all see Rue the Lion here, or Mai the Lion here. Now, I wouldn't say Kawa, I would say Kau was probably where he was from. And I found this place in a later time period. They went down there to round up some Nubians from a place called Kakau. Winning them. And this is where they was going, I think. But now we got the Lion King, right? We got King Scorpion. We got double. Is this double Falcon? No, this ain't even double Falcon. Peep gang. This is two separate tribes of Heru. Let's see if we see double Falcon. No, they go a tribe of Heru. So that might have been double Falcon. This might be double Falcon. Who they call double Falcon, an ancient pre-dynastic ruler from this area. I would say this is representative of double Falcon, because then this will be one standard for double Falcon, and the other standard from the people from what I'm saying is Mayam. I could be wrong. Mayam though, right? And we don't know who was on the top of this one. What we was focusing on was that this lion was really a king. Feel me? You think Doe had a 6'4" Falcon? You had the 6'5" Dart? I didn't do the 60s too much. I had the 67 Camaro. But I used to like the 70s. But let me see. So y'all see that right there. The Lion King. And all these other kings, blah, blah, blah. If we keep on looking, we might learn more. Oh. And I believe what Manito said about the Shimsu Horde, because they go back so far, bro. Like the veneration of this Falcon. Here go Rue getting it in again. At another time, look. A Lion King wasn't no punk. The battlefield palette is true. It don't say they're hunting. They know that this is a battle, see? That's what I'm saying. Now look at this. This is a different tribe. That's one Falcon tribe that got them held down, bondage. But that appears to be a stork. Right? And we know these as Bakinkins, veneration, procession standards. But the procession standards are holding men captive. So it's safe to say that this tribe caught these people. That tribe caught them people. Right? I don't know why he over here being sassy though. Right? Look. But he mooning King Rue. Right? King Mahi. Who's getting it in. Killing all these Africans. Straight afros. Big noses. Nothing you could do about it. But Rue was down there in Upper Egypt and even probably some of Nubia. He's represented as a beast. Look. Now what's hella funny is these birds flying over the deceased down here. You can even see some birds down there eating them. Look. The Rue put in work. Or Mahi. And we had some of them mythological animals or giraffes on the other side of that one. So Rue wasn't no punk. He pop up way more than Narmer. Just to be clear. He pop up more than Scorpion. The Lion King. Popping up more than the Scorpion King. That was fun, right? For me it was. Now, if you want to see that I wasn't making this up, right? You have to go to his list right here, Dynasty 00. And he got a list of all these pharaohs. Look, they down in Cousteau, see? Lower Nubia, Double Falcon, Upper Egypt. Do it say Double Falcon or not? But this is about 3250 BC. And he telling this man Double Falcon ruled Upper Egypt. Abydos, he's questioning whether he ruled Abydos. He ruled all the way up to the Memphite region, Double Falcon. The Delta up into the Sinai, though. In pre-dynastic times. Delta and North Sinai, Double Falcon. All the way up to southern Levant. They question, do they got some attestations to Pharaoh Double Falcon from Dynasty 0. You want to go back further than that, you could go to Dynasty BC. 3200 BC, they're talking about, let's look, Scorpion 2. See, we got Scorpion in the Upper Egypt area around, because we got the Heracleopolis Mace Head with Scorpion the second, though. This ain't the first Scorpion. We not in Dynasty 00. All of these is kings they don't like talking about because they was blacker than blackety black. It wasn't no way for nothing else. They was way down in Cousteau and stuff. Upper Egypt. Before any of that other stuff they talking about. Scorpion 2, right? During the Abydos area. But then when we get to the Memphite region, it switches over to Hedgehor, Irihor. Y'all know the time of him. But we got Crocodile. Y'all know about Crocodile? Well, we only got a few attestations to Crocodile. But when we go back to the first dynasty, they get real African with it. They be animals that you can't even find in Egypt. Double Falcon. So he was one of the biggest. That's why it's safe to think that when we see these, they might have been down with Double Falcon. Or 2 tribes of horrors. Right? Scorpion, but let's go back, because that's just Dynasty 00. Dynasty 0. Let's go Google Dynasty 00. All you gotta do is pop it in your Google. DYNASTY 00. Watch this. Go to Francisco Raphael's work. Now we on Dynasty 00. Going back further in history. And watch this. You're gonna be like, hell no. They thought I made it. So they showing you all these as kings and stuff. Back then when they put it on these Afro pics, they was talking about ancient rulers and stuff, but we'll show you. After this, I think it's evidence of early rulers. All right. All of the stuff, but we're going to get to this. They go Scorpion. They talking about Scorpion. Scorpion and the Horus, look, together way back then with a Ra. Scorpion with a Ra. Scorpion was he had widely distributed documents too, but look, they say clearly that this is a falcon right here, and that's a scorpion on this old rock art. Maybe it was representative of Horus being down, or maybe it was Scorpion and what's his name? All right, here we go. Scorpion and Falcon. Here we go. Let me show y'all. And you can come read all this for yourself. I've been reading this for like 10 years. Now look. Consider that most of the names before Double Falcon might actually represent place names or else. Okay. But Double Falcon don't represent no place name. And we can show the ones that don't represent place names because the place name is under it on that one palette. They on top of the place names. Now look at this. The Oryx Standard. That mean they found the Bekinkin with the oryx on top of it, right? Okay, cool. And they just saying that this is the sequence of rulers that this auric might have been representative of a ruler. But look at this. Shell from a tomb in Abydos, y'all. Sequence of rulers. Shell, like a shellfish, bro. They say they find attestations that was a ruler. Watch all this, bro. You're going to be like, hell no. Fish. They don't just know what to call them, so they're just giving them names. But they found the fish venerated, and they say this could possibly be a ruler. Let's keep going. Elephant. Either this is a place, name, or else. It says sequence of rulers. They got the spot filled in. The elephant might have been a ruler. Check it out, though. Peep game. Bull, right? Sequence of rulers. Bull cranium standard. They found it in Abydos. A bull cranium on the standard, which means they praising the bull cranium. And they saying that the sequence of rulers right here might have been represented by this bull cranium standard. Stork. Possibly a ruler. All of these is before scorpion, falcon, the men standard, double falcon. They're going to rule the lion, another double falcon. Then we get to Arihor, Ka, Scorpion 2, and then Narmer. Is that crazy? They tell you Egypt started with Narmer. So none of these dudes was trying to unify it? Elephant, bruh. It ain't even no elephants in Egypt. So he was Abu. He was Abu. King Abu. Look at all of these kings in the sequence of rulers before Scorpion, who they didn't even tell us about Scorpion. We found, now look at how much fun they have with us in Hollywood. You got a movie called The Scorpion King that mess it all up. You got a movie called The Lion King that mess it all up. And you got movies about the unification of Egypt that messed it all up. This is a list of, it says list of Nakata 3A early 3C1 rulers from Thinis to Abydos reconstructed by Gunther Dreyer. So he say these is Nakata rulers. All the way down to Elephant. And for some reason, they saying that on this Tenahu palette, the Towns palette, they saying you can see Falcon. They say you can see Falcon too. You can see Mahi the Ryan. You can see Double Falcon. Let's go back to that. I told you. And you can see Scorpion the second on that Towns palette. They telling us right here. We need to go look at Tomb UJ and Abydos because they got everybody in there. All right, man, this was a cool 2.5 hours. I normally do 3 or 4 hours. Note that Carol rather convincing hypothesis also the hieroglyphs of the scorpion drawn on wavy-handed jars painted marks and incisive bone and ivory tags from Abydos tomb UJ and recently found in Jebel Taoui could represent a god or a place where it is worshipped, likely here in Canopolis, instead of the name of the owner of the tomb and the victorious sovereign of Jauti. He did some good ass work. So what is that to say? We're gonna get up out of here. He told you all these fools. Now look at how he breaking down the Timbuktu palette. He says the Timbuktu palette or the town palette in Cairo is named after the signs on its verso. This shows 3 registers with domestic animal fowls and 4th lower, 1 with trees and plants, and the hieroglyphic of a throwing stick on the oval, which means a region, place, or an island. Thus the toponym of Libya. See? That's not the toponym of Libya. We know that. We can read the glyph. You never say thus a toponym of Libya to Hindu. Oh, that throw stick ain't no toponym of no damn Libya. But the rector of the palette is of great importance. Now listen, showing the feet of what happened? Damn, what happened? Hold on. I want you to get all of this, bro. They talking about elephant and everybody. I gotta go back. I'm gonna read all of this. The rector of the palace is of great importance, showing the feet of some of the persons belonging to the register line, 2 rows of 4 and 3 groups respectively. Each group is constituted by an animal gasping the merhole on the prenatalated wall, whatever that means, prenatalated wall of the town. So that was a wall of a town. The name of each town is written within the wall. Perfect interpretation by me, right? I didn't even remember. I mean, I read this, but I just can't remember. It says, since the publication of this palette, unprovidenced but said to be from Abydos, the actions of the animal interpreted by numinos aspects of the kingship or the true king was said to be a destructive one, but comparing the use of the hoe by King Scorpion II on the mace head, Nibby in 1977 and Wildung in 1981 moved the first criticism to this generally followed interpretation, proposing that a constructive action was implied, namely the foundation of the named towns. Indeed, the same interpretation of Scorpion's mace head ritual is the founding of a temple or inauguration of a channel's excavation is still debated. So they saying this is when they was founding them towns. This site is just Google Dynasty 00 and click on the site that says Raphael Franciscu. Bartley Dreyer have rejected this view. Dreyer interprets the names over the walled towns as Dynasty 00 kings. Names Lion, Scorpion, Double Falcon, right to left, Falcon, Seth, Falcon. It says the German archaeologists correctly emphasized that being the palette very similarly in character believes to the normal palette it was possibly from the reign of King Scorpion II. All these kings they don't tell you about in modern Egyptology because it ain't no chance for them not to have been Black African. All in the area where they was at, everything they was doing, it ain't cool to talk about this. Because it show you these people coming up out the South. He's even about to say it. He's going to call them Southern Kings. I do remember that. Watch this. The German archaeologist correctly emphasized that being a blah, blah, blah. A near procession of normal, whose name in fact does not appear on the palette, the Scorpion King appears in a prominent position at the center of the lower row. The other rulers were ancient predecessors of Scorpion II in the Dynasty 00 Abydos royal line. Now let's learn about Falcon, which is Heru. He just keeps saying Falcon. This is a ruler called Heru. Falcon was possibly the follower of the owner of Tomb Uj. Scorpion 1. Dreyer hypothesized that Falcon's name also appears in the Metropolitan Museum palette, Charette. The relief on an alabaster vessel from Heracleopolis showing a frieze of falcons and scorpions that was perhaps a tribute to King Falcon, to his own father, Scorpion 1. So somebody hypothesized that Falcon, Heru, was the son of Scorpion. Check this out. King Lion, see the Lion King, where they be lying to y'all in Hollywood. King Lion is, in Dreyer's opinion, named on the seal impression from Mahashna. Dreyer thinks that many of the royal names of that period, since King Elephant, man, let me make this bigger. These was all the Nubian kings with the names of animals. You couldn't even be King Elephant from Egypt. You gotta be King Elephant. Look, King Elephant. So when I be talking about this stuff, who the Lion King, who who Nisut Abu, or Nisut Mahi, M-A-I, how do you say that? May? These were real people. The Lion King. Damn, what happened? I keep clicking too much shit. The Lion King. And it says, Dreyer thinks that many of the royal names of that period, since King Elephant, do not appear in the names of the royal properties, domains. Thus, a tree besides a lion would be King Lion's plantation or property. In the dynastic period, there were plenty of examples of place names after king names and after royal domain names. The same author advanced that the lion on the battlefield or vulture's palate was just this Lion King. I did the same thing, probably because I learned it from reading this. By the same way as in the bull's palate must show a latter king bull. Bull 2, distinct from Bull 1 identified in the Coptos Colossus. Now check this out. The two falcons on standards would relate to double falcon. This is one of the first attestations of Shreks known. So they wasn't even rocking Shreks before double falcon. This is one of the first attestations of Shreks known early in the Kata 3B, Dynasty 0. He's known from southern Palestine, Sinai, East Delta, Memphite region, and Upper Egypt, Abydos, Adama. Not all scholars do agree in the interpretation of his Shreks with different So let's just talk about it. It was a pre-dynastic pharaoh that was known all the way from Nubia to southern Palestine, dog. That's crazy. Dreyer has postulated that given the mentioned late Dynasty 0 manufacture of the Tehenu palette, which in my opinion is in fact later than the Battlefield and Bull palettes, but earlier than the Hover and Narmer palettes, it could never neither celebrate nor narrate the foundation of the towns by those kings. The towns of the Heron, that's the stork. Now he knows the name of the town. Jabwati. We could go look at the palette that the Heron is on and see how he said it was Jabwati. He said it's probably Butu, which is currently being excavated by T. Van der Wey, was founded much earlier than the Kata 3A. Therefore, the action performed by the royal entitlements on the palette could eventually be the foundation of fortresses in the respective centers. The example from Elephantini are more probably it was the symbolic destruction of the centers after their defeat by the Southern Kings. Keep on telling you the Southern Kings. The Southern Kings come through and smack anything up. This progressive military expansionism and submission of the Delta by the Thainite sovereigns which is echoed in the scenes of the battle and of the aftermath represented on the Nakata 3 pallets and ivories, was probably a relatively common scenario until the country unification. It was. They used to go up there slapping them boys up all the time. Hey, let's go slap up the Delta. I'm about to show you. I've still been about to show you for 2 hours. As quoted above, and always with the due caution, it can be supposed that a parallel warfare pattern should have been followed by Dynasty 00 and Zero Kings in respect to the Nubian antagonists. Perhaps also the Delta and Mahdi Budo decline hadn't appeared in the Kata 2 CD. Without some conflict, the EB1 Canaan colonization is instead a different matter, although some scholars hypothesize in the past massive military interventions of Egyptians there. The difference between Egypt and Canaan at that time was too large to favor the assumption of any possible competition between them. Egyptians must have found no resistance in their infiltration into these territories, contributing to their evolution towards EB2 urbanization. It still valid synthesis the relations between early Bronze Age, one Canaanites and Upper Egyptians. Conclusions. I ain't gonna read this, but it is the conclusion. But it's short. I can read it. The amount of data on pre-dynastic regional states is rapidly increasing in the last decades. I'm sure that our knowledge on many aspects of this phase of Egyptian proto-history is going to further augment in the next years. Once it was the Thinite period, Dynasty 1 and 2, to be considered the egg of which the dynastic Egypt civilization sprang out. But indeed, as we have seen, also the already during the late Gerzian Nakata 2D and Nakata 3 Petrie's Simanians, whatever, we can find clear signs of the outset of the future dynastic state peculiarities. We have rapidly passed by some of the faces of the Egyptian pre-dynastic and through the ages of the most ancient kings of Egypt and of the whole humanity. I've tried to outline this in the paper in a way in which the Neolithic villages acquire more and more aspect diagnostic of the progress towards complex associative units to finally become regional states governed by the paramount leaders of Dynasty 00, on which I focused in this discussion. Many factors contribute to the constitution of dynastic Egypt tradition. The kings and blah, 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 blah. I've been reading too much. You can go read it for yourself. But we seen what we wanted to see, and I smell good food downstairs, and that's my call. Let me see what that smells like. Something got some barbecue sauce. Something got some barbecue sauce. There might be some greens or something going. So let me I'm gonna shoot out a way that you can support my endeavors on this show that you see me doing, called Making the Meal Ticket Live. You can roll over to shophyro.com and cop one of these fly rugbies that I got on right now. Made after Ralph Lauren measurements and everything, because I love polo and material and everything, but these are Hyro rugbies, right? Well qualified for the student of metal netter to still be representing hip hop. Hyro means sacred. Everything we put that Hyro word on, it fly because it means sacred. So you want to rock a sacred rugby like I got on right now? Go on and over to Shop Hyro. You can even get more fly gear there. That third eye sweatshirt, so you got that third eye popping on. All right, I'm going to get up out of here. I appreciate y'all for all the support, and we'll be back soon. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Chematology Thanks for the cash apps. I heard my phone going off. I always appreciate that. Peace, peace, peace. I'm out. Be back maybe later or tomorrow. All right.